what's up, everyone, and welcome to another podcast from MsWrestleBlog. This is Brandie, and I'm here with my co-host, who is going to take time to introduce himself right now.
Well, most people call me Devo, and I guess that means you're going to be doing it too. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan, and you should hear the rants that Brandie and I have had for years, and will continue to have. It's, hopefully the magic will be captured for you to hear from here on out.
I would think so. It's time to take our rants to the public. We're taking it to the streets, people, and you are the streets. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're still in that aspect of where we're trying to get more content on our page and get more listeners and more subscribers. So, even if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click it now because it's definitely going to be worth it. But what we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk about this past Raw. It's the Raw After Battleground, and it's where we see The Undertaker coming back and opening the show, which was incredibly nice to not see the Authority open the show for once.
That's a rant that I'm going to get to in a minute. It still applies to this Raw, even though it was a great Raw. But when are Steph and Triple H going to learn that the show's not about them?
Yeah. Well, Lance Storm, I don't really remember when he made this quote, but he wrote a whole article about how for the past 20 years, the McMahon family have been the heels. And so we're conditioned as fans to hate them so much. But yet they still want to be these prominent figures in the show and the central heels of the show. So I'm not really sure why they think that that's going to work. After it's possible because USA loves to have Stephanie McMahon in a segment. And that's fine and dandy. But at the same time, as the casual viewer, you're sick of it. As the dedicated, we've been watching this for years, you're so sick of it, you could vomit out your eyeballs and asshole about it.
Yeah.
Really.
The John Cena. The John Cena syndrome.
Stephanie McMahon may be the new John Cena, which means we might get a Steffa Rana.
I'm kind of surprised this hasn't happened yet after all these years.
I would see it. I would like to see it. She really dominated Brie Bella in that match that they had last year at SummerSlam.
That's true.
Yeah, but let's continue on this gravy train with Raw. So we see Raw opening with no fanfare, nothing like that, just boom. And
well, before that, they had the recap of Battleground, the Seth Rollins-Lesnar match, which, by the way, that was a beatdown. There was no offense for Rollins.
It really was. And I was excited to see that match because I thought maybe that we would see Seth Rollins take it to Brock Lesnar the way we saw CM Punk take it to Brock Lesnar.
No.
But no, we saw Suplex City.
We saw Suplex City and pretty much nothing else.
Yeah, until, of course, the Taker interference. And that was interesting that was the main event of that show. But you had so many other matches on that card that was so much more than I thought they were going to be. Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt were definitely more than I expected from either.
True, of those two. And the Luke Harper surprise was great. I'm glad to see the Wyatt family back.
Yeah, they need to regroup that stable and make them strong again.
I know Eric Rowan's injured and he'll be gone for a little while, but when he gets back, let's see the Wyatt family.
Definitely.
And add Bo Dallas.
I would love to see Bo Dallas get added. Because Bo Dallas really is great on the mic, and I think he would play this Joker, crazy, almost childlike, insane character.
Yeah,
well,
he's got the look for it.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact that just a natural fit with Bray being his real brother.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And nobody believes anymore.
I believe. I am a hardcore believer. But anyway, let's get back to Raw. We have Taker come out, and of course he's addressing the fact that he attacked Brock Lesnar last night. And a lot of people are speculating, like, is Taker heel? Is Taker face? It's like, does it fucking matter?
At this point, it doesn't. It's the Undertaker.
It's the grudge match of the year, definitely, because, Taker says in his speech that streaks are meant to be broken, and that's the sad truth. But he has resurrected himself, essentially, as this cold, unforgiving, Grim Reaper character to come back and take his vengeance on Brock, because Brock and Paul Heyman, I almost said Paul Lesnar, Paul Heyman have been just beating this dead horse for the past year.
Year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half, really. And I think Paul Heyman said it was 469 days.
469 days since WrestleMania 30.
And so we've got Taker out there. What did you think about The Undertaker's speech?
The speech to me felt like really a more classic Undertaker.
Yeah.
It had its roots more in the dark, I wouldn't say Attitude Era, but more like Purple Taker.
you kind of got that feel that, hey, wait a minute, this is not the same Undertaker we've seen in the past recent years.
Yeah.
It definitely had a bit colder and darker feel to it, and can you blame the guy?
No, and I think that's what fans want. I feel like we're entering the last years of Taker being really a prominent figure in the WWE. I mean, he's always going to be a prominent figure.
Yeah, but as far as an active wrestling career, well, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's really nice to see him harken back to the things that people love about him. It's almost a nostalgic feel when he was out there giving that speech. You know, you can't help but notice a couple of things like, you know, Taker's not necessarily in the best shape he's ever been in.
Well, he's better than he has looked, really, even since WrestleMania 31. But, yeah, you could even tell by the way he was walking, his knee was really bothering him.
Yeah, so there's a lot of nostalgia, like I said, in that aspect. I liked the speech.
It was great. It felt like an Undertaker speech.
It really did. And so you have him then leave, and he goes backstage, and we get the behind the scenes with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, and they're on cloud nine. They're calling marketing. They're super excited about the thought of the Undertaker versus Brock, but they realize that this is a volatile situation because not only do you have the Dead Man back in full force as a Grim Reaper character, you can't discount the Beast.
No, I mean, the guy's a former UFC heavyweight champion. That's all you need to know at this point.
Yeah, and what's been consistent with Brock over the past few years, I would say, is that Brock, like his shirt says, you know, he's like arrive, conquer, leave kind of deal. You know, he's there to kick ass, and he's not afraid of Taker.
Well, no, if anyone could say they aren't now, it'd be him.
Yeah, definitely. So you get Stephanie and Triple H discussing how they're going to need more security and probably half the locker room.
Well, that's it ended up being the whole thing, but they were on point with that. The problem I have with those segments is, yes, that makes sense to put that segment there, but it always feels too forced and acted when those two do it.
Well, yeah, that's just kind of what you get with Triple H and Stephanie. But it was nice to see them in a more secondary role instead of opening the show and being so dominant in that, because it really lends to the feeling that this is such a volatile situation. It's beyond the authorities' control. They're having to call in all these other factors to keep this contained. So you get that big fight feel.
You do. Even from the beginning, that's very true. And they did a good job making that very believable.
Yeah, I really liked that because you had that tension the rest of the show for the breakdown. You're like, something's going to happen.
Though, yes. And the breakdown was great, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah. I also like them unifying the locker room because it gives those guys who don't necessarily get a lot of TV time just a little room to do a spot. It's really nice. It was nice to see Triple H and Stephanie acting like real, actual bosses.
Right.
Versus just characters.
And they did. Like I said, it seemed a little wooden, but they took that role and they at least tried. I'll give them that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I don't think we have any matches in between.
There was not a match on this Raw for quite some time.
Yeah, I think, we went to commercial and then we came back with them again, the Authority again, talking to the locker room.
That was when they came back talking to the locker room.
Yeah, and then, of course, there's Paul Heyman who's there that's like, I'm just an advocate. Brock's not here. I'm here to deliver this message. Is that cool? And, they say cool, and they send Heyman out there to deliver a promo the only way that Heyman can.
Let me just say this about Heyman, and I could go on a long rant about Paul Heyman. The man's a genius. The man is charisma personified. He is one of the last holdouts from an older and greater era. And every time he gets on that mic, or even in front of the camera, doesn't even necessarily have to be on the mic, it's gold. Yeah,
he is a top to bottom performer.
Yes.
Just from one of my favorite random things that Heyman does that sticks out is at SummerSlam a few years ago when it was Brock and CM Punk, when Brock rips apart the table and beats CM Punk with it, and you just see Paul Heyman to the side just kind of pulling the table out of the way.
The top of the table and it looked like he was trying to sneak it out of the view of the camera.
And that's just one of those things that you don't see the other managers do that out there.
No. He's a manager. Yeah. He's an actual manager. The way that Bobby Heenan was a manager.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, Bobby Heenan, one of the greatest managers of all time.
Arguably the greatest.
No one got heat like Bobby Heenan got heat.
No.
For someone who was not in the ring, no one got heat like Bobby Heenan got
But
heat.
yet, Heyman
Except
has...
now Paul Heyman.
Heyman's got that old school charisma that used to be standard.
Oh, yeah.
And every time he gets on the mic, it's a work of art. And you get behind everything he says emotionally, whether you hate him or you love him, or you agree, you disagree. Mm-hmm. He pulls you in.
Oh, yeah. And that's the trademark of an excellent character. And so he comes out and he gives that speech. And it's so just... He puts over The Undertaker without putting over The Undertaker.
Right.
Because the language he's using is just really lending to that.
It's very poetic. It's very, very well put together, as usual.
It's really lending to making Undertaker look more like the Phenom, this untouchable, this figure that is otherworldly, is supernatural. It really helps to make you believe that the Undertaker is a vengeful demon back to conquer the Beast, and the Beast is mortal. So it really gives you that feeling that Undertaker can do it.
And that, even The Undertaker in his speech said something, he's coming to challenge Brock's mortality.
Yeah, that was a great line.
I really want to see that played upon a little bit, just to give you that little bit of edge of disturbing content, Oh,
yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll see, tomorrow night and, the rest of the Raws up until SummerSlam, we'll see some classic Taker mind games.
I hope so. I really want to see some classic Taker, because, it's rare now.
Yeah. This matchup has had more build-up in one day than their entire WrestleMania feud had built up.
That's very true. But, eventually, Paul Heyman gets to the point to where he starts making it a little bit too personal, and the lights go out. There's, the classic bell toll, and the look on Heyman's face, the last look you see on his face as the lights go dead is just priceless.
Oh, yeah, and when he's begging The Undertaker,
yes.
I'm just an advocate, he just puts it all out there. He does not give a damn how he necessarily looks, and it just lends to that character and lends to the story.
Yes, that, in the end, it's all about Paul Heyman. He's there for himself.
Yeah, he's going to talk a lot of shit, but he knows that if he doesn't have Brock to back it up, that he's about to get a trip to Tombstone City.
Yes.
Yeah. So, of course, we have that, and Brock Lesnar, surprise, surprise, is in the building, comes barreling it down to the ring.
Yeah, full sprint.
Full sprint, yeah.
Hits Taker, gives him the double leg takedown, and there's just punches thrown. We don't even have any wrestling moves whatsoever. It is a fight.
It's a brawl.
It's a barroom brawl.
Yeah, and then we see security come out, which I don't know. I think a lot of people have noticed this, but I don't know how many of the casual viewers notice this, especially if you don't watch NXT. A lot of those guys that were coming out were the guys from NXT playing the security. It was Tyler Breeze was there, Solomon Crowe was there, you had Brad Maddox there. So I thought that was a great way to just give those guys a little bloop.
Just a little something on the radar, like they used to do with being Taker's Druids.
Yeah. And I like how this wasn't all over at once. How it really was, okay, we've got security down here. That ain't working. Ring the fucking cavalry. Ring the locker room. And you've got like 20 guys on each guy pulling them apart. And Brock Lesnar just ripping through everyone and flying over everyone.
He shows his athleticism for being such a big guy. Being so springy.
He is very
springy. Jeez. He was getting, 4 feet of height?
Yeah.
It had to be. He was going over quite a number of guys, but it kills me because security goes down. You get the locker room with, like you said, about 20 guys on each guy, and then Brock slipping out under the ropes around, and we start the fight again. And he was...
I love it.
He was making you believe, I'm going to get him.
Oh, yeah. And then you have Taker doing the same thing, wriggling out and going back at it. I mean, it just was such a raw feel, and it was such a... It threw back for me.
I was about to say the same thing.
To the old days of wrestling. Where
it felt like an Attitude Era moment.
Yeah, where they really tried to concentrate on making you feel like it was a brawl. So that was exceptional acting on both of their parts.
Everybody. I mean, even the guys in the locker room, they made you believe this is volatile beyond anything normal. And then, we get them separated, and then the classic line that's probably going to live on forever. I will kill you! You're going to have to! Yeah,
that statement there says more about that feud than anything else that happened. It's like, Undertaker, you're going to have to. It means, like, to me, it says that Taker doesn't care if he wins or loses at SummerSlam. He cares about how much pain and
how much
he inflicts on Brock Lesnar.
Permanent damage that he can inflict.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure who we're going to see go over in that instance, but at this point, does it matter?
I don't think it does.
It doesn't really matter.
Honestly, I would hope that they give Taker a bit of retribution.
Yeah.
Because they took the streak away from him. Just let the guy have his moment.
Definitely. Okay, what was the next match on that? Was that Roman Reigns?
Well, I want to talk about the backstage part, because we go from the ring and then ringside to, after the commercial break, you have the guys in the back trying to separate them, and the brawl continues.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have legitimate-looking police who zip-tie Brock's hands together.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, because you do that in clubs. Like in nightclubs and different places, if you get out of hand, they'll zip tie you together until the police get here, kind of deal. But for me, I just feel like Brock Lesnar could just break.
Yeah, that's what got me. Was this is not a normal human being? He could just snap that. That's not a.
I'm surprised they didn't do a spot where he snapped them, kind of deal. But
well, I mean, if they were gonna do it, I mean, it was a perfect opportunity. Mm-hmm. But after the brawl, we have another commercial break, and when we come back, we have a Bray Wyatt segment. Mm-hmm. With Luke Harper behind him. And, Bray's gold. This is a guy that, again, he doesn't belong in this era. He's got too much charisma, too much presence, and they've been using him as a joke. Mm-hmm. But, he finds a way to continue to make himself
relevant.
Yeah, relevant, stay in the forefront.
Arguably, I would say that he does belong in this era, because he should be one of the guys, along with, like, Dean Ambrose and such, that are working to make this the best generation that it can be, kind of deal. Unfortunately, he's just not getting booked the way that
he's not. He keeps getting booked as just some kind of an obstacle for somebody to overcome.
Yeah, which I was glad at Battleground that it wasn't just one and done. This is actually a feud that seems to be going on with him and Roman, which is nice, because it's going to help elevate both of them.
Yeah, especially Roman, after he's had such heat from winning the Royal Rumble, and again, it was the company forcing him on everyone, and the fans are smart enough to know that. Mm-hmm. So, to me, it seems like he's trying to at least make himself legitimate now.
Yeah, and they've really stepped back with him since his loss at WrestleMania, and he's been consistently putting on good matches, arguably some of them being the matches of the night or matches of the night on the pay-per-views. So
his athleticism can't be denied, and it's fun to watch him wrestle.
Yeah. Roman Reigns is going to be a star. Period. Yes. He's got every tool he needs to be a star. He's got the athletic ability. He's got the look. He's gotten miles better on the mic. And, Paul Heyman said it best. There's no one more coachable than Roman Reigns.
That's a good point.
It's just all a matter of timing for him and getting the acceptance. And he's doing that right now by building a back catalog of great matches and great feuds. Like this Bray Wyatt feud could go on to be a feud that he has the rest of his career. Something that they can always come back to when they need a program for TV or something,
That's true. It's a good fallback. But as far as Bray goes, they need to give him more of a presence. If he's going to be the face of fear now and take the Undertaker's spot as the new guy that plays that dark character, that terror, you've got to let him do it. Yeah. You've got to let him win. You've got to let him do things that are going to be disturbing and questionable. And
well, I feel like they let him go there in his promos and they give him all the hype in the world, but when it comes to the matches, they never let him win. No. You never see Bray win.
And if he does, it's never clean.
It isn't. He beat Ryback, and then that was just dropped. Like, there was no continuing retribution with that. I really want to see Bray Wyatt because he's this mental character. I want to see him break somebody.
Yes, please. Let me see that. Let me see him do the kind of stuff on the level that The Undertaker used to. He's got the presence. He's got the charisma. Mm-hmm. He's got the potential to do it. Let him do it.
Yeah. And as far as verbally goes, probably the most skilled person they've got in their entire company.
It always gives me chills when he starts getting into that promo and you believe him.
Yeah, he's just highly intelligent.
It reminds me of Raven in a lot of ways, too.
Yeah, except turned up.
Yeah. Raven. Oh, I missed that guy. Anyway, you have the promo, then that goes directly into a match. Mm-hmm. which is something you don't really see a lot of. That's an old school thing, too. They would have the interviews before the match, and then you go to the ring.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see that, but Reigns coming out there facing both of them, and you could tell that the whole Wyatt family thing was already in full swing. Those guys just went right back to that Wyatt family.
Yeah, well, there
mentality.
was no like them splitting out of anger or anything. The whole thing with the Wyatt family disbanding is Bray Wyatt released them, and now they've come home. Well, at least one has, of course.
Rowan being injured, but he'll be back. But it was great to see that. Even though they've been apart for so long, they immediately came right back into that mentality.
I'm glad to see Luke Harper getting shoved back into some kind of limelight because that guy is too talented to not be doing something on that roster.
And they're giving him more mic time already with the Wyatt family, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, he's actually really good on the mic.
I'm impressed. I really am for such a guy that you look at him and you just think, man, he's nasty.
He is nasty. Do you wash your shirts?
Oh, yeah. But Reigns coming in there and looking as though he's a little bit afraid, and then he brings down Dean Ambrose. I'm glad to see Ambrose.
I am too. He's had nothing going on the past few weeks.
And this is a guy that honestly I see him as the leader of this generation. To me, he's the perfect marriage of Mick Foley and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh yeah.
He's got a little bit of both, and he's got the right charisma. He's got the right appeal for the crowd. He's got what he needs to be that. I wouldn't say poster boy because they don't really have that anymore, but he fits that mold perfectly.
Yeah. Well, women actually love Dean Ambrose, so I think you'd sell a lot of posters of Dean Ambrose. I'm just saying, but a lot of people hating on Renee Young because she gets to go home every night with Dean Ambrose. But I love Dean Ambrose, and I hate that he consistently delivers whatever program they put in for him. He delivers every time, and they do things like they use him in that spot. I guess how they were using CM Punk, where he's going to work this program for a while and then they're going to drop him off the face of the earth. And so you had him just a few months ago in the main title picture where he actually legitimately beat Seth Rollins, and we just and the people were so insanely happy. I remember when I watched that, I was just like in shock, and then began cheering profusely throughout my house.
I remember when I talked to you after that, and you were still just on that, riding that high.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people really, really want. Not saying that Seth Rollins isn't deserving of being a champion. Like, he's a pretty decently developed heel, but at the same time, we've had a heel champion for so long now. And, I don't understand what their obsession with making these super long title reigns anymore. Like, Lesnar had it for, half a year, if not more.
Well, I like the idea of having a long title reign because it brings legitimacy to the person holding it.
Well, it does if they're actually...
Well, if they're defending
it.
Yeah, Brock didn't, that's true.
Brock didn't. And Seth Rollins, we've only seen him win clean a few times as the champ.
Well, he's a heel. I mean, he's not supposed to win clean.
Yeah, but there's a way to overdo it, and they have never.
That's true.
It.
They have kind of put that in, buried it into the ground.
It's the same issue that I have with Nikki Bella's reign.
Oh yeah,
I feel no legitimacy in her reign because she has not won clean hardly at all. But so Seth comes out after this match with Roman and Dean, and
it was a good match, believe it or not.
It was a really good
I was impressed because one thing I noticed was the concentration on Roman's left arm, and he actually was aware of that kayfabe pain and continued to favor it the whole match, like the guys used to do. He made you believe it. Mm-hmm. And they were showing a little bit of tech prowess. I was amazed to see those old school locks being thrown on there.
Yeah. A lot of the resting locks were used, and it was really nice. And then, of course, we have Reigns went over. I think because if I'm not mistaken, the Wyatt family just left.
Yeah, they were just enough of this.
They didn't expect the lunatic fringe to be let loose. He is someone I would like to see them just let loose to just mess with everything. Just insert himself in anything and everything.
And he's not afraid to take any kind of a bump. This match really did show that because Harper picked him up for a power slam on the outside and ran and threw him over the barricade, and it was one of the nastiest bumps I've seen in a while. On the way down, he hit his head, and you could just see the glassy-eyed look. It was kind of scary, but I don't know if he was just playing it off or if it was real.
Yeah.
But he made you believe it either way.
You get that with Dean Ambrose, where you're not really sure where kayfabe ends and reality begins. But yeah, a good match. And then after that, we have
the Seth Rollins
promo.
He comes out, and I got to give it to Seth. Even though he needs a little bit of polishing on the mic, he still seems a little bit too generic. There's not enough emotion in what he's saying and depth. But I do have to give it to him. As a heel, especially in the position he's been put in with the Authority and their favorite, he lets that arrogance show through, and you hate him. You hate him so bad for that. Nobody can stand an arrogant punk like that.
No. And
so he's playing it off perfectly.
That really is. And that frustration that you have where he just somehow keeps winning. Because we were like, Brock's going to dismantle him. He's going to lose that championship. That was the general consensus of everyone.
I mean, who would have put money on Rollins in that match?
Yeah. And a lot of people, even though there was like the knowledge that Undertaker was going to be there, a lot of people just assumed Brock was going to win and then Taker was going to attack him. But nope, Seth went over, which was interesting as he just disappeared out of the ring.
Yes, where did he go?
It doesn't matter.
That's going to be a running joke for a while.
Yeah, well, he did the typical heel move and got the hell out of Dodge.
Yes, and he did it well. He did it very well, and the ref went with him. He disappeared too.
That was very good. But he's out there, he's with this promo about how he did it all by himself, he faced the beast, and he was so smug because, before that we had him, like, first, in the build-up to Battleground, first he was scared of Brock, and then he was like, oh, I've got all these people, and then Brock systematically took out all these people, and finally he was just resolved. He was like, you know what?
I'm going to take this beating, and I'm going to take it like a man. Okay.
Yeah, he was, you had a bit of a wildness about him there towards the end of that, which was really fun to see, and now...
There was a little bit of a psychological play there, too, that made you believe it to a point.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So... You have Seth out there parading this championship around like he's done anything for it, pretty much.
Yeah, again, that's that arrogance.
And then, of course, we have John Cena.
At this point, this is where I rolled my eyes, because Cena should not be involved with the title anymore.
No, but how they've done this, though, I think is if they were going to do it, is the best possible way they could have. Because what you had was John Cena come out and just be like, please shut your mouth, Seth.
Yeah, that was entertaining as hell, and I was amazed that once he got close to the end of his verbal beatdown, is really what that was, when he got close to the end of that, the fans were surprisingly positive behind it.
Well, because you can't argue with what John Cena was saying. John Cena has this U.S. title, which is considered the lesser title, but has, for the past several months since John Cena had it, consistently been matches of the night.
Week in and week out, and he hasn't been afraid to
It's been the
defend
best.
it.
Yeah, it's been the best competition in the WWE.
Honestly, that feels like the old WCW television title. Mm-hmm. Every week, every show defended, and he's been doing that.
Yeah. And so you have John Cena very justifiably saying, the longer you have that, just the longer that makes this mean more. And of course you did. You had the crowd getting behind Cena for once and chanting USA.
And it was part of me was surprised and shocked that he got that action, but then he was happy because John Cena's a good guy, and
John Cena's been working his ass off,
and he has been. That match with the matches with Owens has been testament to that,
definitely.
Especially that last one.
That last one was brutal.
But Cena came out and made his point, and he made it well, and you can't disagree with that.
And so I think that's setting us up for a champ versus champ at SummerSlam, which I love that. We never get champ versus champ.
No.
I've been on Twitter tweeting at Triple H constantly that I want to see Nikki Bella versus Sasha Banks champ versus champ.
That would be awesome.
I've been wanting to see that for a while.
The only problem that I would have with a champion versus champion in this situation is if Cena wins. He needs to be dropped out of the World Heavyweight title picture. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just, his time is over, and if not for physicality, because he's still in fantastic shape, it's just because we've had him shoved down our throats for so long. Let's please get some new blood in that title hunt and keep it that way.
Well, and doing champ versus champ at SummerSlam and the titles not necessarily being on the line between those
that would be fine. If they don't want to do that, and if they want to do that and they don't have to defend the titles, that's fine. Go out there and make a statement. Okay, that'd be great.
That's what I think it is, because, I mean, people tend to forget because Seth is a heel now and he's been doing real heelish things, but Seth Rollins is one of the best performers in the ring.
In the ring, he is. Yeah. He is quite impressive. It's fun to watch.
So, and John Cena's really proven himself to be able to work with those guys and keep up on their caliber.
Yeah, especially when he's pulling out new moves and he's doing a Hurricane Rana.
Yeah.
Where did the Cena Rana come from? A guy that's built that big and has such a stiff upper body, all of a sudden he's pulling out luchador moves.
I know, I tweeted that. I said, when did John Cena become a luchador?
It was shocking watching that match with Cena and Owens, him really doing all that stuff.
It was nice to see him pulling out moves that we'd never seen from him before. So I think that if we had, obviously Brock and Taker are the main event for SummerSlam.
That is the match for SummerSlam.
And I think that Rollins and Cena would steal the show because we would see a really well done match, and we'd see Rollins throw the stuff because John Cena is this big opponent for anyone to beat. You would see Seth Rollins throwing stuff we hadn't seen him throw in a long time.
Right. And it'd be good. It would be good to build Rollins like that, and it would also be good to at least bring more legitimacy back to Cena in the fans' eyes, because he is so, I wouldn't say hated, but
polarizing is the word I like.
Polarizing.
John Cena's polarizing.
At this point, people forget that John Cena is a lot better in that ring than people want to give him credit for.
Yeah.
So, a title versus title match, well, not a champion versus champion match, let me get that right, with no title on the line, it's there just for a statement between those two, and the quality of matches the two have been putting on, I'm all for it.
I think it would be great. I think it would be a showstopper.
It would definitely, even though Brock and Taker are going to be the match, that match is not going to be a wrestling match. It's going to be a fight. Mm-hmm. Let's see these two put on a classic the way they have been.
Yeah, and that gives us even more time to start building up somebody. That gives you, the rest of the weeks that we have leading to SummerSlam now, and then the 4 weeks after that to build up someone new to introduce into the title scene.
Yes. I'm putting my money on Ambrose. Please put Ambrose in the title line.
Yeah, well, again, they pick him up and drop him because they know no matter what, fans are going to love him.
Well, after that segment, we come back from commercial break, and they show the video package of last week in the Divas Revolution beginning. Mm-hmm. I'm a red-blooded American man. I have no problems with watching beautiful women.
Hello, ladies.
I'm not gonna deny that. However, I'm before that a wrestling fan. Mm-hmm. I don't care what you look like when you step between those ropes. If you're gonna do it, please do it right. Please do it correctly. Please do not shame the business and the industry and make yourself look like a fool. Mm-hmm. And really, for a long time, the main roster of divas, that's exactly what it's been. It's just been a disgrace.
Yeah.
The girls coming up from NXT are a brand new breed of female wrestler that really I haven't seen before. Because, you had the women back in the Golden Age and the Attitude Era that they were wrestlers, but they were more grounded. Now you've got these women that are coming in with those same skills, but are just all over the place. And it's phenomenal. It's incredible to watch. That's exciting because that division has needed some life breathed into it. This division's revolution, I hope that's going to be exactly what it is. It needs it. That belt, that horrible butterfly belt, as ridiculous as it looks, needs legitimacy. Not an AJ Lee year-long title run, but a legitimate quality upgrade.
Legitimate battles.
Because let's face it. When you've got people like Natty, who really should be holding onto that belt almost indefinitely just because she's so good. I mean, she is the quintessential female wrestler, and you've never used her right. And really, as much as I love Becky Lynch, I agree with what you said when we were talking the other day. That should have been Natty's spot.
But,
now that I've gotten that little rant out of the way, the fact that it's happening is exciting.
I don't know that I like how it's happening. I feel like by bringing them all three up at the time and doing all this with these teams, I feel like it's a cluster.
It is.
And it has more potential to go wrong than it does right.
Yeah, and I agree, and I had that same feeling.
Yeah, and you've cheapened these women by making them all debut together with no... I mean, Sasha Banks is by far the most polished, the best female, in my opinion, on their roster.
And the most charismatic, too.
She's the total package. So when Sasha Banks came up, it should have been oh shit, the boss is here.
Yeah, that should have been all her. That should have been her moment. I agree. And, I really haven't thought about it. I knew that it didn't feel quite right, but now that you've said that, that's what it is. They brought up all of these women together, and they took away from each one's individual momentum.
Yeah, because right now it's all about, well, Paige wanted this revolution, so Paige has started this revolution with the help of Stephanie McMahon, and I'm so sick of it being all about Paige. I'm so sick of it being all about Paige.
After AJ Lee left, they had to dump it on somebody.
Yeah, but why Paige? You don't have to. It's like, you can't build a division.
That was sarcasm.
Yeah, you can't build a division on one person. You can't.
No.
And that's what they try to do in the women's division. So anyway, we've got this, it's a Divas tag match is what we've got. We've got Paige and Becky Lynch, which I was very excited for because
those are my two favorites in both NXT and the main roster. Those are my two.
I'm a Sasha Banks girl. But you've got Paige and Becky Lynch, who have a lot of history together, touring together in the independents as Brittany Knight and Rebecca Knox. And then you have Sasha Banks and Naomi teaming up together for Team Bad.
There's just one thing before we get into the serious breakdown of this match that I have to say. Naomi's boots bug me. As much as I like the idea, and as really as cool as that is, whenever she's in the ring, I can't take my eyes off the glowing feet.
Yeah, well, that's probably the reason why she wants to do it. I can't stand the bandana thing. I don't get it, and I don't like it, and I think it's a crappy looking outfit. Naomi has a long history of hits or misses with her attire, and to me, this is just a miss all day long. But
the glowing feet, again, cool idea, but way too distracting, at least for me.
Yeah. So you've got,
it's like those light up shoes we had as kids.
Yeah. So you've got those two teams wrestling in the ring, and then you have Team Bella on commentary.
Oh my god, I hated that.
And at this point, we have no damn clue if the Bellas are heel or if they are face. One week they do heel, but they're doing face commentary where Nikki Bella is trying to act like she's done something for this division.
And she's trying to make herself seem like this noble, honorable champion, and she's not doing it well.
No, well, it just sounds so fake.
Yeah, and that's weird coming from her, because we've had a lot of promos with her in the past year that have just been bombshells, and she's done a great job. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, we've got her back to, like, debut Bella quality, where it's just everything's faked and pushed.
She's
trying to watch, or it hurt to watch and to hear.
Her speech, I felt, was just a regurgitated John Cena speech. That's the whole. It doesn't matter if you like me or not. It doesn't matter if you cheer or boo. What matters is the competition, and we welcome all competitors. No, you don't, because you've had to screw all these other competitors out of winning your title.
As I was watching and listening to that, I couldn't help but chuckle a little bit.
Yeah, it's like,
you're a liar.
I want them to stop towing the line with her. If you want Nikki to be a heel, make her the biggest, baddest fucking bitch in this place, because she's got the personality for it.
And she's already got enough heat.
She really does. And so it doesn't make sense to me to have her and the Bellas going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with it. Alicia Fox is this crazy heel. Brie is this Nikki sidekick heel, and Nikki should be the biggest, baddest bitch, and she's not.
Yeah, she should be the one that is just pulling in the heel hatred.
Yeah. And
again, like we said, she can do that easily right now. She's got the heat, but let's commit to something.
That's the whole thing with the Divas division, is that they like to say is that there are no heels and there are no faces in the Divas division. It's just a bunch of crazy catty women fighting. And I'm like, enough of that.
Let's just admit that formula hasn't worked.
And now we move on to competition.
Yes, heel, face, that never goes wrong. You cannot go wrong with that formula.
Okay, so, out of the match that we have with them, it's actually a pretty decent match. The one thing I noticed is that these girls aren't getting the same reaction on the main roster, obviously because they haven't had enough time to build a back catalog, and because really the story right now has so many different people in it.
It's too much.
It's insane. That's what's so interesting about NXT, is the stories are regulated to 2 to 4 women at a time.
Well, and it's not just the women. That's just how NXT works. NXT is old school wrestling.
Yeah.
They understand down there when they're booking their show how it works. Thank you, Triple H. And it's hard to come from somewhere like that that's so structured and grounded in the traditions and the way things are supposed to work to the WWE's formula that's not a formula.
Yeah. But, despite the fact that the main roster fans probably haven't seen a lot of Sasha Banks unless they have the network, the people who have seen her are such rabid Sasha fans that
and for good reason.
Well, yeah, definitely. She has more than earned that. But she gets such a reaction from the crowd, and she's like really the only one that gets a real big reaction from the crowd besides Paige, and that's just because they've had Paige the past year.
She's well established in the eyes of even the casual fan now, but Sasha, her charisma is just through the roof, man.
It is. Everything she does in the ring has a purpose. She uses the whole ring as a weapon.
Yes, she does.
I love that.
That match she had, was it the title? The NXT Women's title that she had against Becky Lynch not long ago?
Yeah.
That match was freaking-credible.
Yeah, probably one of the best wrestling matches.
That was a wrestling match,
not
too.
Not just women's matches, one of the best wrestling matches.
That was a real wrestling
10
match.
years, yeah.
Even, I look at a match like that and I go, I don't care who you are, male or female, that's what you need to shoot for.
That was a clinic, yeah.
That was a clinic.
Yeah.
And to go from that to a match like this, we know they can do more than this. Again, it's that main roster thing that they degrade.
Well, yeah. Also, you have to look at the quality of women that they're working with. Like, as much as I love Naomi, she's not on that level.
No, she's not.
So what was the saving grace in that match is because she was working Becky Lynch and she was working Paige, people she'd worked before. So that match was a really good match, actually.
It was good, but I guess I'm spoiled because I've been used to the NXT quality stuff.
I am too, but I mean, as far you take that match compared to what we have had in the past, however long Nikki's had that belt, that was a good match. That was a damn good match.
When looking at it from that point of view, yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the ending. I loved the ending of this match. The classic heel move.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. Get thrown out, let her get distracted, and then she comes in and nails her with the bank statement. And that move makes me cringe every time she does it.
I love the bank statement.
That is a hell of a move.
And so Sasha picks up the win, and they actually play her music because Sasha Banks' music is some of the best music for women. Like, Paige is my favorite music, but Sasha Banks' music is so her character, and it brings her to life. So to see her coming out to Naomi's thing is so boring. I'm like,
yeah.
I want Sasha's crazy music where she does her little Sasha swag. So I was happy that they played her music at the end, and the crowd really loves her.
Well, I mean, you can't not love her. Even if she's heel, you can't not appreciate the fact that she is 100% committed to what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, she's channeled that old school charisma of the legendary heels. I mean, not just women, but any of the heels. I mean, It kind of feels like Ted DiBiase in a way, thrown into the more modern definition.
And what you can notice about her versus Nikki Bella have been a heel champion is Sasha Banks is a heel, but she's not a coward. And
No, she will take it to anybody.
She will, you get that feeling of, she's bad, but she's badass.
She'll back it up. She's not afraid to back it up. And if she loses, she doesn't care. She's all right. I'll just win it back.
Yeah.
After that was the Rusev and Dolph Ziggler incident. And I call it an incident because that crutch shot, that was vicious.
It was.
It looked so nasty. And that went back to Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage.
Oh,
the bell shot.
That's true.
That's what it reminded me of, and it was done well.
This feud for me had been mediocre at best because I felt like Lana and Dolph Ziggler have no romantic chemistry together. But when they inserted Summer Rae into it, I was like, shit just got interesting.
And seeing Summer Rae here coming out and trying to get under Lana's skin, dressing up like her, that was a nice twist.
I need more Summer Rae like that in my life.
Yeah,
I love that about her. She's a really good character heel.
She is. She's a very good heel, and you don't expect it looking at her, and then all of a sudden she pulls out some of the bitchiest stuff, and you find yourself wanting to strangle her.
I know, just everything about her, from the way she carries herself to what she does in the ring. So we have this little interlude with Lana where the awkward kiss between... And I love how Rusev is just kind of creepy now. I actually like this more with Dolph removed than with Dolph present.
When he kisses Summer Rae, and that look that he gave to Lana, it was... He's trying to get under her skin, and he's trying to do as much psychological damage as possible.
And I like that. It adds dimension to him.
And yes, that's what I was about to say.
A lot of times when you separate a guy like Rusev from his female manager, it's like the Mark Marrow Sable thing.
Yes.
Where the woman has overshadowed the man, but that's not happening. They're taking progressive steps to make sure that Rusev is able to stand alone, and then they're adding so much to his character by making him play these mind games with Lana now.
And he's doing a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what surprises me. You wouldn't expect that out of a guy like Rusev, but he's doing a good job with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the slap. When she slaps Lana, and Lana just has a breakdown.
Yeah.
You can't help but you have your heart break for her.
Yeah.
I love Lana. I love that woman. She's gorgeous, and she is one of those people, again, transplanted from an earlier era, that just has it. She does everything just right.
She was already a good manager, but she's just adding dimension to her character by the way she reacts to the things that goes on and the way that she handles herself out there. So we have this match, and it's the main event, and it's a
six-man tag.
And it's Randy Orton and John Cena on the same team. Surprising.
Yeah, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And Cesaro.
With my love, my bae for life, Cesaro. I love that man. I think
Antonio
that's the most
Cesaro
attractive man in the world.
And he's a freak of nature.
He really is. Just, you look at Cesaro and he's fit, but he's not this genetic, jacked up looking thing, but he's the strongest man on that roster.
JBL said it best. It's functional strength.
It is. He's just, the moves that he does, it's just beautiful to watch in the ring. And I've loved watching him all throughout his career. He's just a fantastic wrestler.
He comes out there with Orton and Cena, and they round off the match with Rusev, Owens, and Sheamus. Now that's a cluster of a group right there. That doesn't bode well. It doesn't bode well, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. But given the fact that, rival versus rival, feud versus feud, that's a classic tactic and a classic formula. And the match starts off pretty predictably. I mean, come on.
Yeah. But notice that the most over person in that match is Cesaro. He has the real big spots in that match, which he deserves.
When he gets in there.
The fans are on fire for him. For Vince McMahon to have, maybe a year removed from Vince McMahon saying, oh, he doesn't connect with the fans, to these people are just like, what do you mean he doesn't connect? He delivers amazing matches, and the fans love him. He's the guy right now. That's, as much as people clamor for Dean Ambrose and Daniel Bryan, people also clamor for Cesaro. They want to see him in that spot. And really, as far as you look at Cesaro as an athlete, I think that he's one of the few people that if you put him against Brock Lesnar, you believe he could take it to him.
Yeah. And honestly, that's starting to become a dream match, I'm noticing. People are really clamoring for that to happen. Oh, yeah. That would be wow.
That is who I want to get the push from beating the guy who beat the Streak. That's who I want them to throw the chips behind.
And honestly, if Cesaro could find that to me, Cesaro has got the same curse that Rob Van Dam did. All the athleticism in the world, all the presence, but he was missing that it factor and never quite found it. It was always right there on the edge of it. If he can break that glass ceiling and get to where he finds that thing that finally connects him 100% as like a top guy, Cesaro will be the guy.
Well, he had started doing this thing where he was pushing the don't connect, deliver. And I feel like if he just keeps expanding on that idea and keeps going with that, and then brings it to, hello, I am connecting. Look at all this, I'd like to see him rise up and be more vocal and more commanding.
I would too. I want to see him hit that main event level and be a staple guy.
He's putting in all of the physical work for it now. If he can just get the mic work in for it,
exactly,
he's going to take off in a way that we haven't seen since Daniel Bryan took off.
And again, that athleticism will carry him a long way.
Mm-hmm.
When he finally got in the match, again, he shows off the athleticism and just the pure natural talent he's got and the strength.
Definitely the strength.
When he lifted Kevin Owens in
his head,
an Argentine backbreaker style, and then just dropped him, that was fantastic. That was a feat, and he's constantly doing stuff like that.
Cesaro was in the match more than anyone else really was, kind of deal. And then throughout the course of the match, you see the breakdown first with Sheamus and Kevin Owens.
What I liked before the breakdown was they were using classic tag team tactics, like real old school tactics, by keeping Cesaro cut off.
Yeah.
And they were doing it perfectly.
Yeah, and I like how you would think they had him almost beat, and he would have a big comeback and almost get to his corner, and they'd pull him back. You know, that was just great psychology. It was back and forth.
Yeah, that's classic in-ring psychology, and it's great to see more of that happening. Yeah. But when the breakdown finally happened, that was hilarious, and it was unexpected for me. Yeah. I didn't see that happening, but then you had Sheamus walk out, and then Owens walks out,
and then so it's just Rusev, and then you have Lana strut her way to the ring, and I love John Cena's face.
I know.
They're just like...
You have to pay attention.
Yeah.
You have to pay attention. But that's another thing about Cena I love is his facial expressions, especially when he doesn't have a mic in his hand. It's funny to watch. So
all of those guys, they just kind of stopped and watched as this broke down with Summer Rae and Lana. And so, you know, Lana's thing, she takes off the heel.
That start at WrestleMania, innocent thing, and it was just so random and funny that she's organically created something that's hers, and it's great.
It is.
When the shoe comes off, shit's about to hit the fan.
It's Lana's way of taking off her earrings.
Yeah.
You know, like, girl, hold my earring. You know it's about to get serious when Lana takes off her shoes.
Yeah, but nobody throws the earrings at the other person.
Yeah, no,
throwing a stiletto heel, that's serious business.
And then just goes for the takedown on Summer, knocks Summer around, gets up, love it, because she just straightens her outfit.
Straightens it out, yeah.
You know, shoulders back, head up, and walks out.
Nope. Before she walks out, she tells Summer, "Don't ever touch me again."
Well, yeah, obviously that. But I loved that. Just fix the outfit, the hair, and just walks out like, okay, well, that's done. I love that about Lana, where she's like, this is nasty business, but I'm going to do it anyway.
She plays her character to perfection. I'm so happy to see people getting that character, that gimmick thing again.
Yeah.
More and more people that are coming up are getting it again, and it's good to see it. It's good to see wrestling starting to try to make a comeback.
It really is, because they're all about this reality era thing now, and the fans know so much more about what goes on backstage that it's nice to see them really trying to tell a story. They'd been really lacking with that, where it was just like, oh, we're going to talk for a few minutes, here's a match. No, here's a match. No. And so now we're really having characters who are using every avenue, and that's on the show and on social media and different things like that. Lana is a champ at holding up her character on social media. It's just hilarious. She's always all about the ravishing Russian. Or if it's Wednesday, she's always her own woman crush Wednesday kind of deal.
She's playing up the gimmick.
Someone tweets something to her about how she's so gorgeous, and she's like, well, of course. You know, it's great to see her. Well, and then I had heard rumors that at a house show randomly, it's scheduled for her and Dolph to go up in a match against Rusev and Summer. So we might be seeing Lana in the ring pretty soon.
I thought that she had a previous injury that kept her from in-ring competition.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I'm not really sure.
Well,
you never know.
That would be nice to see.
It would be interesting. I'd like to see what caliber of wrestler she is. If anything, even if they just let Summer and her scrap cat fight in there, it will be such a payoff because fans want to see that so bad.
And that's almost pay-per-view worthy. If they just keep building it, that's something that you could book for pay-per-views.
I hope that's just a rumor about the house show, because I would really like to see them take that to SummerSlam.
There's a thing here that gets me with her being with Dolph. There's potential for this to work out beautifully, or just be an absolute disaster. And there's no room for there's no gray area. There's no room for mess up. There's no middle ground, and Dolph can't afford that right now.
No, I really think. I mean, I really enjoy this storyline, but I really think they missed the mark with giving him a female manager, because I do feel like Dolph Ziggler needs a female manager. But
oh yeah,
I think that Summer Rae would have been perfect for him.
That's true. Yeah, we've had that discussion before. Yeah. She would have been a great pick, and when AJ was with him, that was gold. I wish they'd have let that go for a lot longer.
Yeah, right. But, we see the match end with Lana, and then, of course, Rusev gets pinned. And there's
Rusev doesn't get just pinned.
He gets his ass beat.
And he just goes through all the finishers.
I love that RKO set up by Cesaro with the whole...
And Randy just telling him, give him to me.
Those three actually worked really well together. They were really entertaining to see. Those are three people I think they could throw in a 6-man tag, and it would always be entertaining. They were really great. So
I agree.
That's pretty much how we ended the night, with them celebrating in the ring.
I would have expected something with Brock and Taker, but... given the fact that they both one was taken away in police custody. And...
I think ending it with them would have just been a little bit too much. So I like that it ended on this happier note. And so that makes me really excited to see what's going to happen tomorrow with these people.
Yeah, and honestly, the way the WWE has been these days, when you have such a good show and a good production, I'm always concerned that they're going to ruin what they built. Because they've had such a track record in the past few years of doing that. They build something up, they finally get hold of something good, and then... sorry!
Yeah. So, overall, I rate that show pretty high.
I give it a high rating as well. The only complaints that I have about this show was, holy crap, it took forever to get to a match.
Yeah. But, that was kind of needed to build a story.
It was, but... in an era where, Mick Foley even said this, that the long promo is the death knell.
Yeah.
And they do it every week. So instead of it being once in a blue moon that you have something like this happen where it builds the feel for something truly huge, you do it every week. And even something that is huge, you have that part of you that feels like, oh God, come on. Not again.
Yeah, you also have to feel for the fans that were there while it was recording live, because we've been to a live event, and we've seen how much that when it's off the air and everyone else is watching a commercial, you're just kind of watching some little stuff pull up. So you have to think for the first, I don't even know how long it took to get to a match, but for the first
half hour,
first half hour, there's fans just watching stuff happen on TV. Yeah, that's pretty much. So
and you can't build. You can't You can't build good rapport with your fan base doing that. And like I said, if this was once in a while, you would have that feel of, this is huge. But doing it every week, it's eventually going to get so old that people just, they don't even pay attention to what's really good.
Yeah. I hope we see the Authority continue to take more of a back seat and let the other heels on the roster really start being the healers. That's what I like the idea of, if you're going to have an Authority figure be a heel, it needs to be someone like a GM. Because that way you have the McMahons who can swoop in and be like, no, we're going to set this right kind of deal.
At this point, that's probably the best. Because, Triple H, in his day, great heel, but he's not an active wrestler anymore. And in that role, especially with Stephanie being, let's just admit it, she's wooden in a lot of ways, and she's never gotten over that. These two they can't play what Vince McMahon did.
No.
As that character.
Well, and what was interesting about that is that really Vince McMahon's heelism was centered around Austin. It didn't trickle down as much to all of the roster, like how the Authority is in everybody's business. But
even still, when Vince is on camera, even now, but especially back then, it just oozed off of him. And Triple H and Stephanie they don't have that.
Yeah. They definitely need to swap that up.
So they need to, amongst other reasons, they need to pull the Authority back and let guys that are up and coming and do have that oozing off of them, let them have their time.
Yeah.
I think Seth Rollins, given a little bit more mic work, would be one of those. Because again, when a guy's that arrogant, overtly arrogant, and you want to just punch him in the face, he's got something.
Yeah, it'll kind of put your faith in your talent. Let your Kevin Owens, your Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, your Seth Rollins, let them be the main heels on the show, and you guys take a backseat. But that's really all that I have to say on the matter.
The only thing I have left to say is a good show. Yeah, overall good Raw.
Very good Raw. We're at the beginning of a lot of things, so it's like I really want to tune in the next weeks and see where all this build goes.
Right. What's amazing is you have that feel again of, I really want to see what happens. That's a good sign. We haven't had that in a long time.
That is a good sign. Well, okay, everyone. That has been it for us. That was our Raw reaction recap. Again, I am Brandie with MsWrestleBlog. You can find me on Twitter at MsWrestleBlog, and this is my co-host Devo, who will be doing a lot more of these shows with me. So you guys, please remember to click subscribe at the bottom and keep coming back to see what else we have to say about what's going on. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the box below. We love to hear from you.